cash cow. Mama told me she loved me. I look just like my dad now. Might take a trip out to Japan now. 200 in front of the dash now. Design all the way from the chest down. Do it on my own, any handouts. Niggas faking this man down. Hey. Grinding, tryna find me a way out. Hey. Nigga faking his man down. Hey. Grinding, tryna find me a way out. Hey.
Yes, sir. So it is official. Dr. Claudine Gay has resigned her post as president of Harvard University. This is coming after the beating that she took in the congressional hearing on her allowing anti-Semitism to flourish at Harvard University. So we're going to break down a few clips of that congressional hearing, and I'm going to have some commentary not only on her stance in that hearing, but also on the mainstream media's coverage of this current situation. Without any further ado, roll it.
Yes, you are president of Harvard, so I assume you're familiar with the term intifada, correct?
I've heard that term, yes.
And you understand that the use of the term intifada in the context of the Israeli-Arab conflict is indeed a call for violent armed resistance against the state of Israel, including violence against civilians and the genocide of Jews. Are you aware of that?
That type of hateful speech is personally abhorrent to me.
And there have been multiple marches at Harvard with students chanting, quote, "There is only one solution, intifada revolution," and, quote, "globalize the intifada." Is that correct?
I've heard that thoughtless, reckless, and hateful language on our campus, yes.
So based upon your testimony, you understand that this call for intifada is to commit genocide against the Jewish people in Israel and globally, correct?
I will say again, that type of hateful speech is personally abhorrent to me.
Do you believe that type of hateful speech is contrary to Harvard's code of conduct, or is it allowed at Harvard?
It is at odds with the values of Harvard.
Can you
But
not say here that it is against the code of conduct at Harvard?
We embrace a commitment to free expression, even of views that are objectionable, offensive, hateful. It's when that speech crosses into conduct that violates our policies against bullying, harassment,
Does that speech not cross that barrier? Does that speech not call for the genocide of Jews and the elimination of Israel?
Now, there's more to this clip, and I'm going to play it, but I had to pause it here to explain. Dr. Claudine Gay really made a mistake when she accepted the Congresswoman's definition of Antifada and the elimination of Israel. If you accept the premise that Israel needs to be eliminated as far as the total annihilation or genocide of Jewish civilians, Jewish citizens, at this point you're talking about genocide, and it cannot be condoned, especially by a educated Harvard president such as Dr. Claudine Gay. The only argument that Claudine Gay could have made was to say Israel should be eliminated as far as the apartheid state and should be replaced with a state of justice, one that does not discriminate against either the Palestinians or the Jewish people. By Dr. Claudine Gay accepting the representative's premise of from the river to the sea and the Antifada, by accepting that premise, Dr. Claudine Gay has put herself in a box. But let's continue.
When
you testify that you understand that is the definition of intifada. Is that speech according to the code of conduct or not?
We embrace a commitment to free expression and give a wide berth to free expression, even of views that are objectionable.
You and I both know that's
offensive.
not the case. You are aware that Harvard ranked dead last when it came to free speech. Are you not aware of that report?
As I observed earlier, I reject that characterization.
It's the data shows it's true. And isn't it true that Harvard previously rescinded multiple offers of admissions for applicants and accepted freshmen for sharing offensive memes, racist statements, sometimes as young as 16 years old? Did Harvard not rescind those offers of admission?
That long predates my time as president.
But you understand that Harvard made that decision to rescind those offers of admission.
I have no reason to contradict the facts as you present them.
Correct, because it's a fact. You're also aware that a Winthrop House faculty dean was let go over who he chose to legally represent, correct? That was while you were dean.
That is an incorrect characterization of what transpired.
What's the characterization?
I'm not going to get into details about a personnel matter.
Well, let me ask you this. Will admissions offers be rescinded or any disciplinary action be taken against students or applicants who say, from the river to the sea or Intifada, advocating for the murder of Jews?
As I've said, that type of hateful, reckless, offensive speech is personally abhorrent to me.
And today that no action will be taken. What action will be taken?
When speech crosses into conduct that violates our policies, including policies against bullying, harassment, or intimidation, we take action, and we have robust disciplinary processes that allow us to hold individuals accountable.
What action has been taken against students who are harassing and calling for the genocide of Jews on Harvard's campus?
I can assure you we have robust
What actions have been taken? I'm not asking.
Actions underway.
I'm asking what actions have been taken against those students.
Given students' rights to privacy and our obligations under FERPA, I will not say more about any specific cases other than to reiterate that processes are ongoing.
Do you know what the #1 hate crime in America is?
I know that over the last couple of months, there has been an alarming rise of anti-Semitism, which I understand is the critical topic that we are here to discuss.
That's correct. It is anti-Jewish hate crimes. And Harvard ranks the lowest when it comes to protecting Jewish students. This is why I've called for your resignation. And your testimony today, not being able to answer with moral clarity, speaks volumes. I yield back.
Now, she lost me at the end there. I don't know about the Jewish people being the #1 recipients of hate crimes. I think maybe they're the #1 reporters of hate crime, the #1 demographic that law enforcement will acknowledge is a victim of hate crimes. But as far as them being the #1 victim, I'd have to disagree, but I digress. Overall, the representative here just demolished Dr. Claudine Gay. I've never seen a Harvard professor, let alone the president of Harvard, look so ignorant as to the fact that you cannot openly defend calls for genocide against anyone. Listen, I'm not a supporter of what Israel is doing to the people of Gaza, to the Palestinians. But at the same time, it's not a hard task or a heavy lift to say, I don't believe in genocide of either side. I think that would be a fair statement to make had Claudine Gay decided to make it. Now, if you've made it this far in the video and you've gotten any value from watching, be sure to hit the thumbs up button. And if it's your first time on the channel, do me a personal favor and smash the subscribe button. It really keeps me motivated to keep this thing going, and I really appreciate it a lot. With that being said, before I tell you what I think on the topic, I have one more clip I want to play for you, because I think a lot of people are just focusing on Dr. Claudine Gay's situation, her resignation, and the fact that it's due to this congressional hearing, and they're ignoring the fact that 2 years ago, someone else, a presidential candidate, Dr. Cornel West, told us that Harvard denied him tenure because of his stance on the Israel-Gaza situation. I'm going to play this. This is from 2 years ago. Check this out, and I'll come back with some closing thoughts.
The most taboo issue on U.S. campuses these days, in many instances, has to do with the vicious Israeli occupation of precious Palestinians. It's very difficult to have a respectful, robust conversation about that, and I am unequivocal in my solidarity with Palestinian brothers and sisters. And as you've heard me say on many times, if there's a Palestinian occupation of Jews, then I'm unequivocally in solidarity with Jews. I hate injustice. I hate occupation. I'm not in any way going to stop talking about the Palestinian plight and predicament. There was a brilliant Jewish Israeli scholar who was denied a tenure position at Harvard just 2 years ago, and most believe it was political. Sister Pena Garcia was just denied. And I think that was in part political. So people argue, well, you're just grabbing for straws. No. I detect a pattern at Harvard in terms of not being open to voices that are fundamentally committed to the dealing with the plight and predicament of precious Palestinians.
So you heard it from the hero's mouth. Cornel West 2 years ago has already told you there's a pattern of silencing and censoring those who speak up in defense of the atrocities being committed against the Palestinian people. I think that Dr. Claudine Gay is just another victim
of the censorship. Now, if you've made it this
far, salute to you. I know that you're one of the real ones. I know you're already subscribed because you've made it this far. That tells me that you're one of the riders. You've been down with the channel for a long time, and I really do want to appreciate you. As always, stay tuned for the bonus footage at the end of the video, something that I'm sure you might find interesting. And my closing thoughts on the topic is this.
There's a pattern here of the powers that be.
Powers in high places trying to silence people with opposing thoughts to things such as justice
for the Palestinian people, justice for foundational Black Americans. Even here in this situation with Dr. Claudine Gay,
when she was first hired as president, Forbes and many other outlets announced her presidency as the first Haitian American president of Harvard. But now that she's fired, they put her back into why being Black excellence isn't enough. There are powers that be that run with certain narratives, and if you speak against
these narratives, you and your head is on the chopping block.
They will look to silence you once your voice gets loud enough. As for this channel, I'm going to continue to tell you what I think, and I encourage you to do the same. Respond in the comments section. I read all my comments, and I love interacting with you all. Stay tuned to this bonus footage. If you agree with me, hit the thumbs up button.
If you disagree, tell me why in the comments section. That being said, see you next time.
Peace.
And Dr. Gay, at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment, yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Targeted as an individual, targeted at an individual.
It's targeted at Jewish students, Jewish individuals. Do you understand your testimony is dehumanizing them? Do you understand that dehumanization is part of anti-Semitism? I will ask you one more time. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment, yes or no?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric, when it
and is it anti-Semitic rhetoric?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric, when it crosses into conduct that amounts to bullying, harassment, intimidation, that is actionable conduct, and we do take action.
So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign. These are unacceptable answers across the board.
I done ran up all these bands up in hand and made like 5 bands a day. I was broke, came up with a plan, now I'm the man, there ain't no stopping me. I done ran up all these bands up in hand and made like 5 bands a day. I was broke, came up with a plan, now I'm the man, there ain't no stopping me. It ain't no stopping me. Got bands, I'ma run it up, it ain't no stopping me.